Well, welcome back, folks. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be a themed video. That is, we're not going to talk just about the 8N tractor, for instance. I'm going to take you through conversation on some of the other things that's going on in my shop these days, other little projects I've been working on. I thought some of you might be interested in this. An old friend of mine who I worked with and I've known for probably 40 or more years now, who doesn't live too far from me, stops by my shop from time to time. He's retired as well. And he dropped off this little Husky 141 chainsaw because he says it will start but not keep running. So that's a classic sign that the carburetor needs to be cleaned. So I've done a lot of work for him off and on over the years. I don't take in equipment much anymore. I used to do a lot of small engine repair of virtually everything, chainsaws, string trimmers, leaf blowers, you name it, go-karts, lawnmowers, lawn tractors. I've done them all. Outboard motors, though I really don't care to work on outboard motors much, but I don't do much of that anymore except for friends and relatives, and since he's a good friend of mine, I said, well, okay, I'll go ahead and take care of it for you. So you dropped this off a few days ago. As you can see, I've got the carburetor off of the unit, a little Walbro. It's quite clean, actually. Here's a rebuild kit, and he claims he uses ethanol-free fuel in it, but I don't think he drains it, because when I asked him, do you drain it in the winter, because he doesn't use it during the winter, and he said, no. So that's, again, another indicator that it's probably just a dirty carburetor. So I pulled it down the other day. You can see back there the fuel that where's the fuel here? Right there. I drained the fuel out that was in it. I'm going to hang on to that. He claims it's fresh fuel. He put it in earlier this spring and hasn't obviously used the unit at all. Ordered the rebuild kit. These carburetors do require a special tool. That's what this is right here. It's a spline tool to easily allow you to make adjustments right here. These are splined. I don't know if you can see those or not, but this, and it says spline on it. Gee whiz, imagine that. And it helps you, well, they're tamper-proof screws, that's why they're splined. And it helps you, turn the high and low speed adjusting screws in and out. So you really need, to do it right, you really need one of these tools. I've hid most of the tools for that tool, and then I have a float or a needle adjusting tool as well. It's not in the shop right now, but this kit I did have to order. It's a generic kit, so there's multiple gaskets, multiple diaphragms, so I just have to make sure I match them up. After I tear this carburetor all apart, I will end up tanking it in my ultrasonic cleaner. Those who've been with me for a while know that I have an ultrasonic cleaner. In fact, I used it on the 8N carburetor last winter when I rebuilt that. And they're really handy to have. They're not very expensive. I've had several different ultrasonic cleaners over the years. And so I'm going to tank it, then I'll hose it down really good with a brake cleaner or carb cleaner before I go through this kit and have to sort out the right parts, because this is a generic kit with different gaskets and diaphragms for different models of the Walbro carburetor. I'm not sure which parts fit right now until I take it all apart and see. But I'm not going to do a video on that work. It's not what this video is about. This video is really to talk about projects that's ongoing in the shop, not necessarily go in depth on any one. And there are a number of, there's many videos out on YouTube about how to rebuild these little Walbro or Zama carburetors for Huskies and other brands of chainsaws. They're all over the place, and I'm not going to duplicate that effort, but I did want to share with you that I do have this in the shop, and in between other things going on, I will be rebuilding this carburetor and giving it back to my buddy as soon as I can. One of the other projects going on in my shop right now that I've been working on in between other things is I've been going through my air supply piping. That is the hard lines that come from the compressor and go off to various parts of the shop. It goes into a manifold first, and then it gets distributed from there. I've been refreshing some of that piping because I had a couple of leaks and it's fairly old and I want to reconfigure it anyway. This is the thread tape, or the brand that I use in my shop for all my thread tape needs, such as air supply, fittings on the carburetor for the 8N. If I was to need a thread tape, this is what I would use. Because it is rated for fuels, and if you read the detail here, it will describe as propane, gasoline, natural gas, diesel fuel. All those fuels are listed on here as just being suitable for. There are probably other brands. This just happens to be the brand that I have available to me locally, and it's a little thicker than the thin white tape that you might find in the hardware store. It's a little heavier. It's probably a little bit wider as well. But again, the thought occurred to me, and I was using this recently on my air piping manifold, that not everyone might be aware that white standard tape may not be fuel rated. And in fact, it will often break down and get gummy and could get drawn into your fuel system, your carburetor, whatever you're working on, if you use it on a fuel system. Let's move on. Speaking of the Ford 8N, this is the air intake pipe or tube that leads from the air cleaner canister to the carburetor. Talked about this a few times before. I'm going to go ahead and repaint this, I think, while I'm waiting for the generator and some other things I'm working on to be finished up. The reason I want to talk about it right now is that originally I wasn't sure which color this was originally. Was it red and then painted blue, or blue and painted red? Or obviously it's been repurposed in some form. I took a little closer look at it, and it originally was red. If you look at the paint real carefully, and I don't know if you can I can capture it in this video or not, but if you look at the paint and how it's laying, the blue is over the top of the red. So I suspect, I guess, that the red, or this tube, this piece was original to this tractor, maybe. And for some reason, Bubba painted it blue. Don't know why you would have done that. Maybe use it on another tractor or later model, which used that blue. And then it ended up back on the 8N, or who knows, some combination thereof. But the red is underneath the blue, so the blue is put over the top. So what I'm going to do here, when I get a chance, I'm going to media blast this, and then I'm going to paint it with my pressure pot spray system, which is real simple to use. Whether I'll capture that in a video or not, I don't know yet. I haven't gotten that far, but I did want to share with you my observation of the original paint on this piece. Well, the generator is off being rebuilt. As you can see, it's not there any longer. And when I took the generator in to the shop, the guy took one look at it. I didn't even tell him what it was. He took one look at it and said, "Oh, an early Ford generator, 6 volt, right?" And I said, "Yep, that's what it is." And he knew exactly what it was. So I expect I'll probably have that back in a week or so. He did ask me to, let me refocus here a little bit. He did ask me to bring the, when I come back to pick up the generator, to bring the voltage regulator in also, and they said, or he said they would test that for me as part of their service on the generator to make sure that that is in fact working as well. So it'll save me from having to do it. So I'll just take that along when I go back to pick up the generator here in another week or so, and we'll kill two birds with one stone. You also see over here I've got the maintainer on the tractor battery. You can see the maintainer's over here on the seat. You can see it's connected there, and this is of course the temporary fuel tank I've just got hanging off the steering wheel for right now. Now we're going to talk about why I believe this tractor has been majored or split at least once in its lifetime, and that is when I opened the engine up, or pulled the head off last winter to do that valve job. The pistons that I found inside were not original OEM Ford pistons. They were a high compression piston made by, I think, a company named M&W that was well known for high compression pistons and sleeve kits for these engines back in the day. So the fact that it's got different pistons in it suggests to me that the engine has been majored in some form, and in fact was very likely split. And that's quite definitive in my mind. I'll put a photo of the pistons up here so that you can take a look at the pistons that I found in the engine, and then I'll see if I can find a photo of the original pistons and also include that so you can see the difference. Though this isn't necessarily related to the splitting or majoring of the tractor, I am curious about this bracket right here I'm pointing to that is not original. I don't know if that was used for a cultivator setup or a guide wheel or something similar that the farmer had added at one time or the other. I do suspect it was added at the dealer, and the reason I say that, it's been painted after it was installed and welded in place. Fabrication is pretty good. It's pretty well done. And it looks to me like this entire axle and maybe even other parts of the tractor were painted at the time, because the patina of the paint of that bracket matches everything else. It looks like it was part of the tractor from the beginning, but I know it wasn't. At least I'm pretty confident it isn't original, because I've never seen another Ford 8N or N-Series tractor that had that exact bracket on it. So it was added, and I think it was added by the dealer, and then they probably painted this at the same time, maybe other parts of the tractor as well. And there's another part I'd like to share with you. This bracket right here, which is pretty heavy steel, was originally mounted under the front axle there. You can see those two holes, and these two bolts were used to mount this to the front axle, and I'm not sure again, I think that just is to clear that pivot bolt right there in the front of the axle, and was used with the front end loader that was on the tractor when I first looked at it, which I didn't want. So the previous owner took the loader off because I already have a loader. I have a much better loader than what this was, and plus I didn't want to have to climb over the top of that old manual trip loader. But anyway, my point in all this is that I suspect this might have been added by a dealer, or certainly it was shop made, maybe homemade, but it was painted. You can see, I think, remnants of the paint right there and there. At one time it had been painted, probably been put on and then painted, and it's maybe the same time that bracket over there to the left was mounted. I don't know, but it was painted, and it was painted in Ford red, and it blended very well with the rest of the tractor. So whether a dealer put this on or you know, a farmer in a shop made it, it was cut with a torch. You can tell by the way this has been cut out. It's fairly crude here. I don't know if you can see that or not. I think you can. It's a fairly crude piece, much cruder than that bracket over there that we talked about right there earlier. But anyway, I think this was added probably by a dealer, certainly by the owner of the tractor, the farmer. I can't believe this was factory made with the nature of these cuts and the quality or lack thereof. Might have been done by a dealer, I don't know. So those are a few little odds and ends regarding the paint and the work on the tractor. Now let's talk about one more thing. I think one of my next major things I'm going to do after I get the generator squared away and the voltage regulator and get the charging system working, I think I'm going to pull the front wheels off and check the wheel bearings. Maybe the bushings and the spindles here, those are just bushed, but they are standard tapered bearings, Timken style bearings on the front wheels. I haven't really paid much attention to those yet, but I'm thinking, well, I got it in the shop, got my tools here, not a big deal. Pull those bearings out and see what kind of shape they're in at minimum. I will probably end up cleaning them and greasing them if they're in good enough shape and there's no wear. Otherwise, they're pretty easy to replace if I have to buy new ones. And if I do replace the bearings, again, I'm real fussy about my bearings. I will probably buy original Timken brand bearings, or at least a major bearing supplier brand of bearings, not an aftermarket made in the land of close enough that I have no idea what the quality is. This left, or rather right, it's on the left side, it's actually the right wheel. You can see it's leaking, or grease all over here. I don't know exactly what that's all about, but they both got a little bit of grease or oil around them, and might be just from over greasing, who knows, but we'll find out when we eventually get inside of those wheels. I think that's going to be it for this video today, folks. Any issues, questions, thoughts, drop me a note. And also, before I let you go, I'm curious if you like this kind of thing or not. I'd really like to see some comments if you like this and that kind of conversation, rather than just theme-based, i.e. we're going to talk about the project on a tractor, we're going to talk about a small engine, if you like this mixture of topics. So please let me know in the comments if you could. So that's going to be it for the video today, folks. Any issues, questions, thoughts, drop me a note. Otherwise, as usual, thanks for watching.